Down south, hunting is more than a pastime. It's a tradition. Whether you're tucked into a pine thicket for whitetail or chasing hogs through the bottoms, Nosler Ammo offers the kind of reliable, knockdown power that earns respect season after season. Trust the name that's built a reputation on performance. Trust Nosler.
Welcome to the Southern U Podcast, brought to you by Darden Archery on the OKest Podcast Network, with your co-host Matt Brock, Jeremy Ferguson, and Taylor McMurtry. If you're looking for all things land-related in the Southeast, you came to the right place. Whether it's real estate, habitat, wildlife, or just being outdoors, this is the place for you. Welcome to the Southern U. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Southern U Podcast. My name is Taylor, and if you haven't noticed already in the chat down there, you might not be able to see his name, but he's embraced the role. It's Matt Brock.
Might as well. Yeah, why not?
The AL deer legend himself joins us from the whitetail paradise that is West Alabama. And then we also have fellow biologist Brae Swaggart. What's up, Brae?
What's up, and Rip?
And Rip. I'm sorry, I forgot the official mascot of Southern U.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jeremy is off in St. Clair County doing something that I'm sure will make him money, and I don't know what exactly that is, but he's doing. Do y'all know what he's doing in St. Clair County? I don't either. He just said that's where he was going to be, so he couldn't jump on today. So we got got Matt and Brae, and I apologize, y'all. I live with two living, breathing petri dishes that like to bring home every germ and infectious disease known to mankind. So I apologize for the way that I sound. There's just not a whole lot I can do about it. But today we are obviously I think hunting season is now open across the entire United States, but it should be across all of the Southeast. We just opened up on October the 15th, so we've had about this is the 6th day of the season now, and Mr. Brock has already caused some carnage with old Darton Sequel 33 ST2. You want to tell everybody about that?
It's a fine shooting bow. Gosh, I love that thing. I've been impressed with Darton. But, yeah, I've had opportunities to get out twice. Unfortunately, my first outing, I shot a doe a little bit low, did get a pass through, but I think I was just below her heart. So didn't recover her. Second outing, had a buck come in that we knew to be mature. He had been coming in pretty regularly both morning and afternoon. It's kind of hard to get in there in the mornings without spooking deer, though. So I took an afternoon, got in there Sunday afternoon. Wind was perfect. About 5:40 or so, he came slipping down the hill out of his bed. Had some white oak acorns in there, and I'd scattered a little corn in front of my camera just to kind of get them positioned in front of the camera to know who was down there. But he gave me a perfect shot, hit him a little high. Wasn't anticipating that. Really don't know why. Was not where I was aiming, but nonetheless, it spined him, knocked him down, and I was able to get another one in him while he was about 18 yards. So two does came over the hill, and so the terrain there is pretty steep, and I hate dragging deer, like hate it with a passion. And I said, "Self, don't shoot another deer down here. This is bad. You've already got one." And two does came over the hill, and I said, "Well, if they get within range, I'm already dragging one. Let's go ahead and just drag two." So doe comes in, gives me a shot opportunity. I drilled her, and she fell within 18 to 20 yards of the buck. So I had them both laying there together. It was a great afternoon. Absolutely love bow hunting. Love the opportunities I get out there, and to have that kind of success, within the first week is just tremendous. I'm very, very blessed and thankful.
Acorns, baby.
Acorns, it's where they're at. And look, like we use corn as well. I mean, heck, it's a tool. I mainly just use it to try to get deer in front of a camera. But they've been hammering the acorns. They've actually quit using any of the bait that I have away from oak trees. If I've got bait around food plots or trails, forget it. They're not there. They're not on camera at any point in time during the day or night. They're coming to acorns, particularly white oak acorns, and we have plenty of them right now. So that's where you
Yeah,
need to be.
absolutely. And Brae is going to pick up her rig that is fully ready to rock and roll and
Yes, I
pledged to
got
us.
my bow back from Alan
Yeah,
a few days ago and left my arrows with him to
right.
get everything just tuned up. And so, full disclosure, I have not shot a bow in a couple years. I had a pretty bad shoulder injury with nerve damage that I was in physical therapy for. And my first shot, I was so nervous. Dead on. Though the darting is awesome. I love it. I think Alan was probably more excited than
Yeah.
like I think he was preparing like, all right, she's been out of the game a little bit.
Hey,
And he
Alan,
said, I want
Alan,
you to put it right there, and I did, and he was ecstatic.
yeah, Alan gets more pumped up than his customers do sometimes, depending on the situation.
Yeah,
He just
but
loves to help people out. So, shout out to Alan, by the way. I guess if we got to do shout outs, shout out to Alan Connor, AC Sports. I know we are in bow season now, but if you need anything, you need any equipment, sights, quivers, stabilizers, arrows, broadheads, whatever that
Was
you
that
need.
a dump truck?
Yeah, I don't heard that
it's a
too. I don't know what that was.
plane. Like
What?
right there.
I didn't know what
That's
that
what I'm
was either.
saying.
It
But
sounded like a horn.
I know it's that cool.
but yeah, shout out to Alan because he will hook you up and he gets stuff done in a timely manner too.
Oh my gosh, it was less than a 24-hour turnaround for
Yeah,
me. And then I left my arrows. He sent some arrows home with me to be practicing, and I'm actually going to pick them up this afternoon.
that's what I'm
Like
talking about.
done this. So.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and by the way, before we jump into the topics for discussion here, do you guys have anybody else you'd want to shout out? I know it's been a minute since the three of us have gotten together, and a lot of things that feel like have happened in that time. So, you got anything you want to shout out?
I don't.
Legend,
Huh?
you go.
Did you just call me the legend?
Yeah, you named yourself that. It's on your screen.
Y'all don't have to, promote it. No, I don't know. I mean, I think I've done this before, but I'll give a shout out to my wife. She's been crazy busy lately, with soccer and coaching, something that I would never do. Coaching little kids in sporting events. I tried it once and said, nope, never again. So, shout out to all you coaches out there. If y'all have the patience for that, more power to you. Great job.
There you go. That's a good one.
And I know we put a short out, but Southern U's been around for 2 years now, and especially lately, everything has just kind of blown up. So thank you to everybody that stays tuning in and interacting and asking questions, even if you don't necessarily agree or understand what we're doing. We love to explain it and just help educate people where possible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, we do really, really thank you guys and want to remind you that you are the reason that we do this. And so we really appreciate your support. If there's something that you guys want us to cover or something that you feel like we maybe have covered, but maybe didn't cover in enough detail, or something that you want to get maybe a little bit deeper on, something like that, just shoot us a message, reach out to us on social. We love hearing from you guys. Drop a comment, doesn't matter. Periodically, we get people that send in some questions and say, "This is my situation. What would you recommend me do?" And we love that kind of stuff, man. So
Mhm.
that's why we're here. And I would say, for those of you who may be new to Southern U, go back and check out some of our previous episodes. Every episode we've ever done should be on all streaming platforms and YouTube as well. So sometimes we'll put out a short, and because you get just a little snippet of what we were talking about, it's doesn't give you the full context, and so people have the tendency to jump on the hate train and
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
start
I'm
telling
getting
us
a
you
how.
lot
do
of
that on
hate on
purpose, Taylor.
TikTok
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so if you guys, hey, listen, we don't care. The more you talk about us, good, bad, or indifferent, the better it helps us. So, tell us how stupid we are. We don't care.
I do
Yeah.
find it quite funny. The internet brings out such stupidity in people, and
It's
they can.
bravery too.
Yeah,
It's a level of bravery that you wouldn't have face to face.
Absolutely.
yeah,
The thing on TikTok right now is it's a very, very, very tiny clip where I was basically the full conversation was you don't have to be a millionaire to utilize your property to its full benefits. And we
hmm
were talking with Mark and Misty Brenner, and they understand land and utilization probably best out of anybody I've spoken to recently.
Hmm.
Um, and all of a sudden, that kind of meant that I had what daddy's money and a
Yeah.
whole
Oh yeah,
bunch of other stuff. And like I said earlier, my parents are going to be pissed when they find out we're rich and they had living away.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, it's just a snippet. And I mean, I even if it's coming from a place of disagreement or anger or whatever, ask the questions because I
hmm
will be happy to answer. Everybody's happy to answer whatever questions you have because those little 30, 60-second snippets are such a small, small portion of what we talk about and what we do.
Yep, for sure. And as with everything in life, context determines meaning every
yep.
time. So,
Oh, and before we roll into the topics, I was going to take a second to talk about the youth hunt that we are helping out with.
yes, for sure.
hmm
Um, so Youth Deer Weekend in Alabama is November 13th or November 14th through the 16th.
Or, yeah.
So on Saturday, November 15th, some of us will be at Black's Deer Processing. Robbie Black is the owner, and he is a great guy. He loves giving back to the community, and his big thing is helping kids get in the outdoors with the right people. Um, so there's going to be a couple of biologists that are going to be there. I'll be there. I think you'll have a chance to talk with some game wardens, some other biologists. I know Matt and Habitat First Properties have donated some things to give away. I'll be donating some stuff to give away. And Southern U Habitat First and my company, Southeastern Habitat and Ecology, will be pulling together some money to give a lifetime license to one of the kids that's there. So it'll just be a good day of fellowship, hanging out, trading stories, checking all the kids' deer out. So if you've got a kid in the Northeast Alabama area, he is in Grant, Alabama. So right there on the Marshall Jackson line. Um, Bring their deer out to Black's Processing on November 15th and you'll get to meet some of us. I think Brock will have some of his youngins in the woods that weekend.
I hope
Um,
to.
yeah, I don't know, Taylor and Jeremy, if y'all be able to be there. I'll be there. And we look forward to seeing everybody that comes out.
Absolutely. We're going to make every effort to be there because it's a really cool event. And giving back, promoting the sport is kind of what we're about. And conservation kind of meets, checks all those boxes. So
Yeah.
do the best that we can. Now, for the actual meat and potatoes of this thing, we asked you guys a couple weeks ago just kind of some topics or some things that you might want to hear or things that you might want us to cover that we haven't maybe covered or, just things that might be relevant for this time of year. And we're just going to fire those questions at the resident biologists that we have here and get their takes. And you can agree, disagree, scream, cuss, throw things, whatever you want to do whenever they give their responses. So, you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, let's just go down the list here. First one, I know that this is not late season, we just got started, but um, Austin Hicks just asked a question and said, how to hold more deer in the late season. So I'm assuming that means how to hold more deer on your property or on your lease or something like that in late season. I realize there's a whole lot of factors and there's a lot of different variables there, but I guess just across the board in general, what is something that somebody can do to kind of help with that?
Well, it
Well, with
depends.
Yep, we'll start everything off with our classic. It depends.
Do you want to go, Brae, or
Mine will be short. I think we've said it just about every episode. Look at what your neighbors aren't providing and try to shoot for that. Late season, especially in Alabama, is a little unpredictable just because we have crazy ruts all over the place. But really just always be trying to provide what your neighbors can't.
yeah? And I'll go a little step further. With the exception of South Alabama, which has a later rut, late January, early February, the majority of our state deer are kind of in recovery mode after the peak breeding. So I like to have highly desirable food sources available to deer at that time. Here, heck, we have spring green up starting in March, so we're not very far from the close of deer season to spring green up. Hard mast is very important for that recovery period. Acorns, a lot of your red oak species, water oak, willow oak, they hold acorns until December, January sometimes. So you can, have good mass producers out of your red oak family. But food plots are very important at that time too. We plant a lot of food plots that carry on into the spring for that very reason, because otherwise they're nibbling around on woody browse and stems and things like that. That's what they would naturally be eating. So if you can provide a little bit of green during that time between, late winter and early spring green up, try to do that. But, going along with what Brae said, whatever your neighbors don't have, provide that, whether it be bedding, whether it be food. Cover is very important at that time of year as well. Deer are highly pressured and they stick close to cover at the end of the season. So I'm going to say food and cover.
I got you. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here because this is something that I have said for a long time, and it's not necessarily something that I think you guys, and if Jeremy was here, I don't think he would agree with this. My stance now, granted, this guy asked how to hold deer. He didn't say how to kill deer,
Mm-hmm.
but I would take it a step further. In late season in Alabama, generally speaking, my stance has always been there's enough green vegetation. It may not be what they necessarily prefer or what they would like to eat, but there's enough food in the woods for the majority of the state of Alabama, just in, even in late season, where deer don't necessarily have to show up at a feeder or on a food plot or something like that. It might be easier, it might be an easier resource for them to go and utilize, but it's been my stance when you have compare and contrast that to the Midwest.
Yeah.
Now
Late winter food source is not as big of a limiting factor as in the
no,
Midwest. They have
and
very harsh winters.
they do, and so when you have just whatever, say Iowa or something, if you do have some kind of a plot, everything out there is dead but that. Like if they want to show up and they want to survive the winter, they're going to have to show up in daylight hours when it's warmer, to be able to try to consume that stuff. And if you're there, odds are you can kill those deer. I just don't believe that that's the case in Alabama. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. They can wait until the cover of darkness, come in and eat all they want to, and you'll never see them. So I guess my question to follow up with what he's saying there, he just said how to hold them, but I guess more about how to hunt them. Do you
Well,
do you guys? I mean, would you agree with that, or is it like no, you can
to a
absolutely
degree,
hunt.
yes. We have much more food availability at, peak stress periods than other parts of the country. So yes,
Yes.
I do agree with that 100%. Um, one thing we didn't really touch in his question is holding deer. And I'm going to say something that might ruffle some feathers because it goes directly against a lot of the information that you will receive from some of these consultants out there. There's not a lot you can do as a small landowner to hold deer on your property, regardless of what you do. They are going to use between 300 and 900 acres. I don't care how good your habitat is. They're going to roam off your property.
That'll hurt
Um,
people's feelings.
Yeah, but we've
Yeah,
got
but
so
it's
many
true. I mean, if
consultants.
you look at a deer's home range, it's huge.
Yes, yes, but there's so many consultants out there, saying do these things and it'll increase your chances of holding deer. Yeah, it might keep them on your property, during periods of pressure, but there's no magic bullet to holding a deer. There's no amount of food, no attractant, no bait, no cover that you're going to put out there that's going to hold deer on your property. If you can provide less pressure, they may be more apt to use your property if properties around you are pressured highly. But you're not going to hold a deer on 50 acres that has a home range of 600 acres, and in the rut it may be 2,000 acres, 3,000 acres.
Well, and what you have to remember is deer, at the end of the day, are prey species to
Mhm.
everything. Prey species are not going to stay in the same spot in a predictable area with predictable behavior long term.
Right.
So
Even when
you
it
can,
comes to, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say you can do, like we said, provide what the neighbors don't to make it as attractive as possible. But holding a wild animal on your property without a fence, that's tough.
It's tough. It's tough. And gosh, I had a thought and I can't remember what it was.
My bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
He'll think of it later, and we'll have to jump
I
back
will, and I'll be like,
in.
"Hey guys, hold on, let's go back for a minute."
Well, yeah, that was just that's always been my pushback. Is it's like I've even heard like you and Jeremy say, people go, well, you can't kill a mature deer with his nose in a corn pile, and y'all are like,
Yes, you
well, yes,
can.
you can,
Yes,
and
you can.
I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that a mature buck doesn't make a mistake every once in a while. I'm just saying, in my experience, in the places that I have hunted in the northeast part of the state, man, like they would have to be awfully, awfully hungry. I mean, awfully hungry, and it just seems like there's more food where they don't have to take that risk. It just seems that way.
Well, and one of the things that one of my biggest arguments against a February extension in North Alabama and areas of the state that it really wasn't justified. Deer are slaves to their stomachs post rut, and there are a lot of bucks that get smoked late season over bait that otherwise would not have
Right.
because of those extra 10 days. And they're just extremely vulnerable to harvest at that time. Deer that don't show up on bait all season long will show up in February over bait, especially in areas where they have limited resources, which is typically not an issue in most of Alabama, but there's some areas with some terrible habitat, y'all. There's bad habitat all over this state.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I lost my questions here. I was trying to find them. My bad. No, I agree. I mean, there's some with terrible habitat, and especially like there's plenty of places to hide, I guess. Especially
Mhm.
like up there in the northern, Brae's super familiar with Skyline in that area where you've got incredible topography and lots of cedars and stuff like that. But deer may feel safe moving through that stuff, but in terms of food and stuff, there's
Yeah.
parts of that area that are just, I mean, it's just not conducive for, you know, for food long term, I guess. But
No, and
Mhm.
I think that's, we spend a lot of time when we do consults on our maps and explaining kind of the juxtaposition of everything on your property.
Did she just say juxtaposition?
I did.
sorry.
uh, with that, like Brock's saying, at the end of the rut in Alabama, these deer are worn down. They're tired. So whatever size your property is, whether it be 40 acres or whether it be 400 acres, you can lay it out in a way that minimizes their movement to give them everything that they need. And I think that's one of the big issues we see in Alabama is you'll have these vast areas of closed canopy forest
Mhm.
or a mid-story that's 100% privet, and they have cover
Yep.
and they might bed in it, but they're having to travel so far for food that that's what we keep trying to do is break it up, provide everything close enough to where they don't have to go a mile away. to search
Mhm.
for food. Because
Right.
Alabama is just a ton of closed canopy forest.
It
Mhm.
is a whole lot of it, and we've talked about it a lot before. But trying to convince people who do own their land to cut some of that stuff and open up that canopy so that sunlight can reach the ground is sometimes that's an uphill battle. Trying to convince them like you will do better by removing some of these trees rather than keeping them, and like, but that means I'm not going to have as many acorns, and that means it's like I know,
Well, and
which
it's hard,
which
and a lot of times it's hard to get a timber thinning done right now.
Yes.
So you'll spend a lot of time, you know, helping your landowner get there to be okay with the timber harvest. And then you run into a period like we're in now where you can't get a logger. And
Mhm.
some areas of the state are doing really, really well, and then some of them just aren't. It all depends on your location and what companies are around you and stuff. But like you do have that large percentage of landowners that don't want to thin their timber, and then you finally get some that do, and we can't get it done, and that's disheartening.
Yeah,
But
it's hard managing timber right now for wildlife. It's extremely difficult in our area anyway.
mhm,
Timber markets are just not what they once were, and there's so many quotas on certain products. You can only move so many loads a day or a week, and
mhm.
it gets difficult. I don't know how some of these loggers are staying in business, honestly. I mean, heck, their equipment cost and insurance and all runs into 40, 50, $60,000 a month, not a year, a month. So, how do you pay for that if you can't move lumber?
yeah, that's true, no doubt. Well, I hope that kind of covers that question. And we'll move on here to another one. This is one I'd love to hear your thoughts on because I have my own. Um, why taking does early in the season is better than late in the season, says Drake McKenzie. That was his
Oh,
question.
this is an easy one. I encourage doe harvest early for a few reasons. The primary ones being that if you do happen to have a skewed ratio where you have more females in the population than males, you want to correct that prior to the rut. You don't want excess females going into estrus and causing additional stress on the buck population because they'll continue to breed until they get, till they have a successful breeding, and that can take 2 or 3 cycles if you have a skewed ratio. So if you can knock that ratio down, then I'm not saying, look, I'm not going to sit up here and preach we got to have a 1-to-1 ratio. That's not even realistic in most scenarios. But if you've got one buck per 5, 6, 7 does, you have a problem that you need to correct prior to the rut. Additionally, you are removing mouths before peak stress periods. So go ahead and get them out of the population before that late winter time frame. Third, if you wait until later in the season, you're probably not going to hit your target. You're not going to hit your goal. I see it year in and year out. If you don't start doe harvest early, you will not hit your target. And, that's not a problem in a lot of areas, but in the South, deer populations can get away from you in a hurry if you're not taking does. And we make doe recommendations based off the available habitat and what the objectives are for the landowner. Some areas don't need to take a lot of does. Some areas do. But regardless, if you need to take 2 or if you need to take 30, take them as early as possible. And I hear people complain about, well, it adds pressure. No, it really don't. Our rut in most of the state is so late. If you remove your does early and then just relax on pressure for a couple of weeks, few weeks prior to the rut, deer go right back to acting normal, like pressure was never there. It's not an
All right.
issue.
Let's hear it, Bray.
He hit everything I was gonna say was, you'll run out of time on it. You're hitting those critical periods of where they need better food availability, so why not take the mouths out of the herd earlier? And does are smart, especially your old does. And if you're sitting there and you're still going out in the woods constantly trying to get your bucks and waiting until the end of season to take your does, you're educating the does a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. You're just, giving them a study guide for how you operate until the end of season.
Yep.
Knock it out early, be done, and then take your time getting the bucks that you want to get.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I think Matt said it earlier. It kind of depends on your objectives, right? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
it that I have an overpopulation, or is it that I'm trying to conserve resources for other deer, that sort of thing. Because I'm glad neither one of you said, because it's what I was going to push back on the hardest is I hear people a lot go, well, you definitely want to harvest them in the early season before breeding season, because if you harvest that same doe later in the season, then you're killing two deer instead of one because she could
That's
be bred.
completely irrelevant.
And I'm like, listen, I know I'm not a biologist, and somebody who's a lot smarter than me can explain this. But if you kill that doe in October or you kill her in February the 9th, she's still dead, dude. Like she's
Yep.
not, you know what I mean? Either
Yeah.
way, we're not producing another deer out of her. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm glad neither one of y'all said that because
Now that argument has never made sense. I don't even know how people come to that
It's an
realization.
emotional
It is
argument.
an emotional.
As much as you don't want to admit it, you want to say it's logical, it's rational, it's emotional.
Right.
That's all
Because
it
look,
is.
here's the thing. In most populations, you're looking at a 96 to 99% success rate on conception. Now, those does may not carry those fawns to, birth,
right.
but conception rates are above 95% most everywhere we've ever checked. So that doe, whether you kill her in October or like you said, February the 9th, she's going to be a bred doe by the end of the breeding season.
Right.
So
Well,
it
and
doesn't
guess what? If you never killed her, you might have killed, she might have been responsible for what, 12, 15 fawns?
matter.
Right.
If you want to use that argument, then use it all the way. Use it
Yep.
all the
Yeah.
way to the end.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it doesn't stop after one season. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think if it's just purely about I'm trying to get my ratio, and I mean, not like you said, not 1 to 1, like it's not, but just closer to in check, doing what I can to improve it, or I'm trying to conserve resources because I do have bucks or I do have deer on this property that I think have the potential to be something, that I want them to have all the resources that they can possibly have, and so uh, I think that's kind of in line with what you guys are saying. It's
Yep.
just kind of the objective related, but I know that's probably a little shorter answer than the previous question, but I mean, that's really not a whole lot to talk about with that. I don't feel like.
Right.
Um, and then we can go. Who is this guy? Jeremy Ferguson. Jeremy
Oh,
Ferguson asked, "Why is Matt Brock a sissy?" I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll show him who's the sissy.
That's right. Now,
At least he didn't say delicate flower.
yes.
Yeah, that's Bill Gray.
Next question here is from Blake Morton. Uh, he wants us to cover, I guess, dove hunting, a late season episode. So I guess, we could probably maybe dedicate an entire episode to that, but just, I'm assuming everybody gets jacked up. What he's saying is everybody's fired up about, dove season for the opener, in September, and everybody's, it's warm outside and we got football on and we're getting ready for that hunt. But there's not, I would say that the amount of dove hunting that takes place drops by 50% or more when you get to that late season dove hunt period.
I'd say 90%.
It may be 90. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, like you just don't hear about a lot of people hunting beyond opening weekend, really.
No,
Okay, so I'd love to take this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
So when I was still with the state, the property that I was over, we only did, when I left the property I was over, we only did youth hunts and physically disabled hunts. And we did 2 huge dove hunts. And we started that later on. And I remember when we kind of came up with the idea to do a Thanksgiving week youth dove hunt,
Mhm.
there were some folks that thought we had absolutely lost our marbles. Nobody's going to come to that. It's going to be cold. You're not going to have any birds. I think out of 30 or 40 kids, we killed over 200 doves.
Yeah.
And it was the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We continued that afterwards. I never liked, especially when it came to youth hunts. Dove hunting to me is more of a social thing. You go out opening day, you've got football, you've got birds, you're hanging out. It's a social thing, and then it
Mhm.
typically dies off by the end of September. You
Yep.
don't see a lot of people unless they just have doves in their backyard going out and doing a lot of dove hunting. I like doing my dove hunts at least the third or fourth weekend of season for the first one because I'll say it, everybody knows it. The baiting has pretty much stopped at that point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your dove fields are baited. That's
Yep.
not a secret.
Yep.
A lot of it has stopped at that point because they do it for that social opening to have a
Mhm.
lot of birds. But those November hunts, you have all of the birds that didn't migrate when it started getting cold. So you get a ton of the resident birds. And at that point, everybody's corn has been cut, the bait is done. People aren't shooting constantly on Saturdays and Sundays like they were. They've calmed down a little bit. I love the late season hunts.
Yep. I agree. Some of the best hunts I've ever had were in October.
Really?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so let me ask you this. Again, there's not a whole lot to go off of for that question, but I'm assuming he's saying, is there anything that you do differently for later in the season for those dove hunts, or is it pretty much the same recipe? Are you having to do anything to the ground? Are you planting different stuff, or is it all pretty much just is what it is?
I mean, you can plant wheat all the way through November. That would be a good way. Also, harvested corn. Most of the late season dove hunts that I've been on were late harvested corn.
Okay.
We use the same fields, but we also had the opportunity to do like a 50, 60 acre field that was, wheat, sorghum, sunflowers. Um, and so we just had that food source that sustained that long, but I have seen good luck on the late cut cornfields.
Yeah, and so you can leave the sorghum and the sunflower standing until a couple of weeks before you get ready to have your hunt. You can mow that down, disc the ground, prepare the seed bed, and topsoil wheat, and you're perfectly legal.
Hmm.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like that would probably be more along the lines of what this guy may be asking is how do I make sure, what can I do to attract birds but and still maintain my legal standing, I guess, make sure to
Mhm.
do it legally because it's a little later in the year and that might be a little different, maybe some gray area there, I guess. But
Mhm.
well, yeah, I mean, I think that pretty well covers that. We may revisit that later and do like an actual full on episode on that, I guess, but at least a good discussion on it. I don't think that I have ever hunted beyond opening weekend that I can remember.
Do you know how nice it is for it to not be 110
Oh
Yeah.
degrees?
gosh, yeah, I bet that would be nice.
Go hunting in a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Most of the
It's
time,
so much better.
trade in the sunscreen for a sweatshirt because it's
Yep.
usually blazing hot and bugs and stuff too. This next question came through Facebook, and this is got Jacob Poston. I hope I'm saying your name right, but he sends stuff to us all the time, so we really appreciate that. But um, let's see. As I know it's random, but I've got an interesting topic for the show: how to help your deer herd when you can't plant food plots due to the fields being used for agriculture. Majority of the property that I hunt is farmland rented out for agriculture. So one year they could have corn, peanuts, soybeans, etc. planted, but he's not able to actually plant food plots, I guess, for that. So maybe you have a situation like that. I know that certain parts of the southeast are, heavy ag, and some of it's really not at all. It's mainly cattle pasture or timber or pine plantation, whatever. So for those type people there, I know just out of I guess out of my own experience, I did not realize Cherokee County, which is here in northeast Alabama, there's a lot of ag that takes place in Cherokee that I was just unaware of. I mean,
Yep.
Jeremy and I took a trip over there for a listing that he had, and it was just like on the way to that property, it was like, dude, this looks like the Midwest. Like this, I mean, there's just so much. There's corn everywhere over here. There's beans everywhere over here, and so I guess I could see where maybe you lease property like that, and you just don't have the luxury of planting and stuff. What can you do?
Brae, you want to take it?
I'll start it off. This is where that edge habitat that we talk about all the time really, really, really comes into play.
Hmm.
If you're gonna have those large ag fields, you've got to have something that the deer are going to feel safe coming into because they're coming into the wide open. When I was on the WMA, we actually had farm contracts with local farmers. And what that was there were areas of the WMAs that farmers could utilize to plant their crops. The only stipulations on there were it had to be crops that benefit wildlife. So it was typically your corn, soybeans, and wheat. And they had to leave a certain percentage standing. I I think it was 25%, but honestly, if you can hit somewhere between that 10 and 25% and break it up,
Hmm.
like kind of leave your strips or leave it around the edge or something like that, that'll be beneficial. And then they had to have it was 30 to 60 feet of edge habitat. So when we're talking about edge habitat, where your timber ends,
Hmm.
you are not planting all the way up to where that forest starts. You are leaving 30 to 60 feet of area that's going to grow up, and that's where you see your beauty berries, your blackberries, your native forage, your bunch grasses, a lot of that shrubby
Hmm.
cover that also provides food. Um, with that edge habitat, that is one of the easiest things that you can maintain as a
Hmm.
landowner, property manager, hunter. If you're able to manipulate the land, that is one of the easiest things you can maintain. You can hit it with a fall disking before the first frost. You can maintain it with fire. So if you're burning those timber stands, include that edge habitat in there, especially those fall fires, because that's where we're knocking out that grassy component and bringing back more forbs. So that is just one of those things that really, really, really attracts. Obviously, they're attracted to ag land, anyways,
Sure.
but that's something that's going to keep them around, keep them close. Not holding them, we can't hold them for too long, but it's
Hmm.
very attractive to them.
Yep.
Legend.
I mean, I was just going to agree that, breaking that ag ground up, if you can talk the farmer into leaving some strips of standing crop, um, or taking some of the least productive ground that he's putting seed and fertilizer on and not getting very much return out of it,
Hmm.
leaving it in native vegetation, the strips that she's talking about along the edges of the fields, 30 to 60 feet, maybe having some strips throughout the property that kind of dissect the property that give deer travel routes that they feel safe in during daylight hours. But yeah, I think she covered that pretty well.
I mean, let me ask this. Is there a scenario where, like, maybe this guy has this ground leased and he has the hunting rights to it, but property owner or leaseholder says, sorry, we're not gonna allow you to burn, or we're not gonna allow you to disc, or we're not gonna allow you to do anything. Like, sorry, that's not what you have the right to do. Are you just, I mean, does that happen? Or,
Oh yeah, look, you're at the mercy of the landowner. If you're a leaseholder or have permission, you can only do what they allow you to do.
yeah,
And I would never recommend somebody doing something that goes against the landowner's wishes. So yeah, I mean, if they tell you you can't, I've got a farmer out here. I don't want you planting food plots in his fields, even after he harvests. I don't want you doing any prescribed fire because of liability reasons or whatever the case may be. That's just what you have to deal with. And
right.
if that were me, unless it was an ideal location, I'd be finding somewhere else to hunt.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, most, even like timber, leases and stuff like that will usually still let you plant a food plot or something. You know what I mean? Most of the
Hmm.
time, but um, I know fire is a huge no-no. That's stuff that
Oh yeah.
there's just too much risk involved with that. But anyways, hopefully,
Well, and Brock, that made me think of we did that site visit. That was what, like 1,000 acres of leased property.
Yeah.
And after we talked with them, gave them our site summary and kind of why we think you should do this, how it needs to be done, how you follow up, and what results you should see, they actually were able to get that landowner on board.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, it just took a professional in the field explaining the benefits of certain management practices, including fire,
Hmm.
for them to agree, hey, that's not a bad idea, because the professional recommended it. I can get behind it.
Well, and I would think too that some of those practices, whether, say the landowner has all this property that they use to farm, or that they use if it's a timber stand, if it's pine plantation, like, yeah, we want to do this stuff to improve our opportunities for wildlife. But as the landowner, this is just going to make your property more valuable, or it's going to
Mhm.
make this property better. So it's like that is what probably can sway them to go, okay, well, yeah, sure, I know you want to kill more turkeys and, bigger deer and more turkeys or whatever, but this ups the value of my property. Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and then what was that? Oh, we've had landowners before, and that this might have been tied in with that one, or it might have been another site visit I did where they sometimes they'll just be adamant against timber harvesting.
Yep.
Whether they had a bad experience with the timber thinning at some point. Some people don't want it. Some people are the same with fire. They tried it, something went wrong, and now they're against it. It's not ideal, but that's okay. It's their
Mhm.
property, but you can find ways to work around it. Because there was one landowner said absolutely no to timber thinning. Okay, well, what if we help you identify some of these non-productive trees and you get permission to, as much as I hate to say it, you get permission to hinge cut, you get permission to girdle. You are still opening up that canopy without bringing in loggers, without
Mhm.
fire. There are ways around just about everything.
Yep.
And it's really just in understanding the risk and the benefits of any management choice that you're
Mhm.
making. But if you can offer your landowner options and say, and know the whole process, why you want to do it, how you get it done, and what the results should be. Because if you just come in there and say, hey, I want to set your place on fire so I can
Right.
have better deer hunting, they're probably going to say no.
Yep. Gotcha. Well, yeah, hopefully that helps answer that one. Um, got another one here. It looks like we may have actually responded to this guy. Scott Willoughby asked us a question, and someone responded to it, but I think it'd be good for us to talk about too, because this probably makes up the majority of our listeners, I would imagine. Is I have a good 10-acre tract that I hunt in northeast Georgia, mainly hardwoods, but also a lot of sweet gum. My question is, would it help it out to bring better habitat for the deer and turkeys? Um, we are surrounded by by planted pines that get burned off pretty regularly. Would it help my oaks to thin out all the sweet gum? So I feel like that's a kind of a no-brainer, but you guys kind of give us your reasons as to why that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have responded. Did I respond to that
Yeah,
question?
someone did. I don't know if it was you or Jeremy, but somebody
Yeah, I think
did.
I did. And I mean, it sounds like to me from what he described, he's got pretty good understory management occurring around him.
Yes, that's right.
So, he's got good habitat on the adjacent properties. And if it's all pine timber, one thing that they're not going to have is good, mass production, especially in a year like we're having right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, anything he can do to promote mass production and open that stand up a little bit, let those oaks crown out, produce more mass, and actually he could probably improve the bedding habitat on that property as well. Even on 10 acres, I don't know that I'd treat the full 10, but he may want to take a quarter acre here and a half acre here and put some little bedding areas in there where he removes quite a few of the trees chemically or mechanically, and have some little bedding areas in there as well.
Gotcha.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm assuming these are mature sweet gums. If it's just sweet gum saplings, burn it like we
Right.
all. But no, it's 10 acres. You typically say to get more sunlight on the ground to make a significant improvement, you want to open up the canopy more than 50%.
Hmm.
Um, that's a lot of work on
Yeah.
Yeah, it
10
is.
acres. But especially if you're surrounded by good ground, put those bedding areas in. Just pick some spots to open it up. And then
And
as you open it up, your acorn production's going to go up. Your trees are going to grow.
and if you don't want to treat the full 10, if you've got a small block, select some of the best acorn producing trees and just remove competition around those trees within 30 feet, and then go find another one. And that way you're just treating it's almost like a shotgun approach. You're not treating the full 10 acres, but you're treating something within the 10 acres just about everywhere. You can just select certain trees and say, hey, I'm going to remove competition off this tree. It'll crown out, be a healthier tree, won't have as much competition, and you can also do that in areas where you've got, say, 10 or 12 trees that are undesirable species together. Heck, just remove them all. Create a little dense pocket of a thick area in there. It's going to have browse, stump sprouting. That's good for deer browse. You'll have cover and bedding too. So there's things you can do on small acreages to make them more attractive.
And like one of my clients, we kind of joked about it. It's a challenge now on just every time he goes out to the property or lets a nephew hunt the property or something like that. Like you have to hack and squirt a few sweet gums
Yeah.
every time, every time you go. And then it's not just this big, overwhelming process where you're burnt out and you're tired and you're hot. It's just every time make a little bit of a difference.
Yep.
Yep. Gotcha. Guys, I think that's about all the ones that I could find easily. If there were questions that we did not cover, I just don't know where those questions ended up, but those are the ones that I was able to save. Did y'all have anything that came through that that was the only ones that I could find?
That's all I've been able to see.
I got you. Well, I guess that will kind of wrap things up here. I don't know. I don't even know where we're at time wise. I think we're
Lunchtime.
yeah, about time to eat something. Um, but yeah, just guys, again, hopefully that helps. Please continue to send questions our way, and if there's topics you want us to discuss, let us know because we don't want to. It's not an echo chamber. We don't like hearing ourselves talk and always agreeing with ourselves and whatever. We love to discuss things, and these guys that do it for a living can back up their claims with data and can explain why they do what they do, not just because that's what granddaddy said or or whatever, but because it happens to be the best way of doing things. So send your questions on, send your criticisms, whatever. We're big boys and big girls, and we can handle it. So, anything you guys got want to leave them with?
Go forth and prosper. Stick an arrow through something this week.
That's right. It's bow season, y'all.
Just bow season. Go hunt. Take off work.
Go fling some arrows. The best time of the year. I love early seasons. Y'all have heard me say it a lot. I'd rather hunt early season than the rut any day of the week. I love it.
Oh, and people don't understand that, but my gosh, I have spent, let's see, I don't know, I've been hunting since I was 9. But I mean, you really kind of go out on your own. I guess in my mid-teens, I was really hunting by myself without help or assistance. And for 25, 30 years now, man, it's like I'd rather take October the 15th or November the 5th in Alabama, way before our rut, and hunt those 2.5 weeks than anything else available all season long.
Yep, I agree.
There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I love it. Deer are not on edge. They're eating on acorns, and they're just relaxed, doing deer stuff, acting the way
Yep.
deer are supposed to act. And if you can figure out which tree is hot, then you got a chance.
I think
man.
all of them in Alabama are.
Yeah,
That's
right
true.
now, every tree is hot.
Yes, if you are fortunate enough in the southeast to have some topography to kind of at least figure out how they're getting to and from these places, that helps. But if you're
Yep.
on, in the kind of the southern half of the state and it's flat as a pancake, it's hard because they can just
Yeah.
go anywhere they want to go. But anyways, yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Like I said earlier, we are 2 years old, and we would never have made it this far without your support. Never would have dream that people would actually ask us for, input and consults and our opinions and that sort of stuff. So it's really, really cool. And we're tickled to death to be able to do that for you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, share, grab a link. I don't care if it's Spotify or Apple Podcast, YouTube. Share a link with one of your hunting buddies or with somebody that you know, and share it out there to us or to your friends and family and stuff. We really appreciate it on Facebook, especially. We've kind of hit our little growth spurt, which is really cool. And I know you guys are sick and tired of hearing us say this, and I'm sick and tired of saying it a little bit, but we do have something that's really cool in the works, and we thought we were going to hit go on opening day, and we just kind of were made aware of a few little things that we need to button up, make sure that we have these things fixed, and whenever we do press play and we launch this thing, it's going to be good. So
Where'd you go, Taylor?
Oh, sorry, y'all lose my video?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, my camera probably died. At least you can still hear me. But yeah, as soon as we get these things buttoned up, hopefully in the next few weeks, we're gonna launch something that I think all of you that are listening to this podcast will be pretty inclined to be excited about. So just bear with us. We are trying our best to make it as good as we can, and I'm a little obsessive about how things look and act and stuff. So anyways, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the next one.
All right. Peace out. Enjoyed it, guys.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.